Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. We had one person that registered late. Well, kind of registered, but they weren't able to make the 9 to 10, and they really wanted to, so they asked if we could record it and send the link. So great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the workshop this morning. Because there's a small group of us, hopefully we'll feel more open for open conversation and any extra questions and that kind of thing. We'll have time for it. We do have an agenda we slipped into the chat, I believe. Did that get thrown into the chat, or did you want me to throw it into the chat?
No, it's there.
Oh, it's in there? Okay. There we go. So we're just going to do a quick overview of the agenda. It's pretty simple. And then there's going to be presentations happening. So we're going to do a little bit of introductions from everyone. And then I'm going to do a presentation on the College of the Rockies and on what programming we do. Then Kirsten Renner is going to do some talk about potential funding streams. Teresa is going to jump in and do a presentation on what's next and how you get from the part where you get the funding to getting the training that you need. And then we'll have open question and answer at the end. But please feel free to, if you have a question anytime throughout the presentation, to please ask or put the hand up. Because it's a small group, just ask the question when it's fresh in your mind, rather than waiting to the end if you want. So to start off, we're going to introduce ourselves, our presenters that are here. My name is Michelle Taylor. I am the campus manager for the College of the Rockies at the Invermere campus. And I will be talking about all the different training opportunities that the college has. And then we've also got joining us Kirsten Rennan, who is the client supervisor for Work BC Center, and she's based out of Cranbrook. And then of course, Teresa Wood, that probably all of you know, well, is our business recovery advisor at the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. So I'm going to let them do a little bit more introduction on themselves. And then what we're going to do after that is I'd like you to introduce yourself, state your name, maybe the organization or group that you're affiliated with, where you reside, and why you signed up for this workshop. So I guess we'll get started with Kirsten, if you want to just do a short intro on yourself.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so I work with the Work BC Center in Cranbrook. So the Work BC program is through the province of British Columbia in partnership with the federal government funding as well. It is one of the programs that is administered by Kootenay Employment Services. So you'll see often both. So Kootenay Employment Services holds the contract to deliver the Work BC program in the East Kootenay and Creston areas. So that's just a little bit of a technical, because sometimes you'll see one logo, sometimes you'll see the other one. So Kootenay Employment Services delivers other programs as well. So that's where sort of that divide is. But most of the funding opportunities that I'll talk about today are Work BC. There are some other ones as well. And really what our aim is as an organization is just really making sure we help people find sustainable, fulfilling employment in an active and healthy economic environment in the region. So anything we can do along those lines, we're always open for discussions and questions and new programs.
I think Michelle left herself on mute, but I saw her mouth, Teresa. I'm the business recovery advisor for the Columbia Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I'll go over all that at the end when I talk about what I do.
Great. So now maybe what we'll start, and I'll go on the screen where everyone is. Again, if you want to just state your name, the organization you're from, kind of where you are in our region, because this workshop was open for the entire region. And then what brought your interest here? Why did you sign up? So we'll get started with Kevin.
Kevin Pinnock, I'm the executive director of CORE, which is a Kootenay Outdoor Recreation Enterprise Initiative. So we brought together 50 of the outdoor gear makers and designers in the Peak region into a collective to organize them, to help them scale and grow and collaborate and eventually attract other brands and companies to relocate or start up into the region. So why am I here? We would like to work with both colleges, Selkirk and College of the Rockies, and work integrated learning and co-op programs so that students in the colleges have a chance to work with these gear makers, you know, ideally on a path to get their dream job, you know, making gear if they're in digital fab at one of the colleges. So I want to learn about the different ways to access training so I can communicate it to our collective.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. And Karina. And you're muted. Oh, you know that. I see you looking down. You're better than I am. You're faster.
Thanks, Michelle. My name is Karina Godreau. I'm the Human Resources Manager for True Key Hotels and Resorts. And we manage 9 properties across British Columbia. And so I'm not going to lie, I've been working out of Souk for the past 6 weeks, and this is my first week back in Radium, and I'm so happy to be back. I love the mountains. I'm not an ocean girl at all. So Michael, I was housekeeping manager while I was out there, so I wear many hats. And so Michael was emailing me this information, and honestly, Michael just told me to sign up, and then I signed up, and then I realized maybe I should look at what I'm signing up for. But I read it last week, and I was like, okay, yes. So this is definitely where I want to be and find how we can fit in this whole picture with you guys. And I live in Radium, if you hadn't known.
Great. Thanks, Karina. And Scott.
Hi, I'm Scott. I live in Golden, BC. I run the main commercial janitorial company in Golden. We have 6 full-time staff. One of them is a manager, and we've been growing for the last couple of years. So we do all the office and commercial cleaning throughout town, everything from well, actually the college and a few schools to a variety of retail and office locations. And I'm on the call today because we're always looking for opportunities for growth for our employees, and we do quite a few different kind of training paths. So it's always nice to kind of know what funding is available out there, and then also what potential training, so that we can kind of help to elevate people in that way.
Great. Thanks, Scott. And just for the record, I've heard through the grapevine that you do an incredible job for the Golden College of the Rockies. So
Oh, thanks.
hats off to you. Great. Thank you. And Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie Rowland. I am the Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator and the Rural Recovery Advisor for Golden. I am here today because it's always helpful for me to hear what my colleagues are working on and making sure that I am current and got the same information for our businesses as we help them in Golden.
Excellent. Thanks, Melanie. Great. So now we will, I guess we'll move into my presentation. I just wanted to give an overview of the different programs that the college provides for employees, workforce training, leadership management skills, the whole gamut. What we find sometimes when we're having meetings with industry partners is they don't realize the whole full range of what we can offer with the college. We have our guide that has a lot of our programs, but it doesn't cover everything. Otherwise, it would have to be like a 150-page guide, and we'd never be able to afford to mail that out. And then the beauty of continuing education is we have some flexibility in contract training. We have a little bit of flexibility with our training as opposed to our full-time academic university study programs, which are kind of locked, a little more stable. It's a little harder to change and manipulate, and it goes through quite a process. So today we're basically talking more on our continuing education and contract training programs that we deliver. And again, the beauty of continuing education, if there's a program out there that you're interested in, but you don't see it on our website or in our guide, it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't deliver it. We may have delivered it. It's just, it hasn't been asked. It hasn't been an ask for a few years, or maybe it's something we've never delivered. And some of our best ideas come from our industry partners, our stakeholders saying, hey, you should do a program on this. And we're like, well, let's just see. And then it happens. So a lot of our creations and our continuing education studies have actually come from people like you saying, hey, we need this training. And like I say, because it's a little more flexible and adaptable, we can usually get it up and running quite a bit faster than our full-time academic studies. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and start my presentation. So I want to put it, I meant to put this right in the slideshow from the beginning. And I think because I've got, there we go. Okay. It'll just take a couple of seconds to pop up, but just let me know when it has. Does everybody see that?
It was just up. I think it's loading. There we go.
Okay, perfect. All right. So like we said, we did our introductions. We've got myself from the College of the Rockies. We have Kirsten, who's Work BC Employment Services and Kootenay Employment Services, and Teresa from the Columbia Valley Chamber of Commerce. So yesterday, all of you were sent an email with obviously the link to this meeting, but also a bit of an organization's wish list. So I have a gamut of programs there in different categories, whether it be first aid, safety, professional development, business, that kind of thing. If you could check off the ones that, if you had a wish list, what would you say, hey, that would be great for my organization, for my staff, for training? You can, if you've already done it, great, or if you can do it sometime throughout the presentation or after. And then there's also at the bottom of the checklist, if you want us to reach out and maybe have a little more of a one-on-one meeting on how we can meet your needs. We can do it over the phone, we can do a virtual meeting, or we could do possibly a face-to-face. And we would bring in our program administrator. There's a program administrator at each campus, and they would work very closely with you. So you can leave your contact information there and we'll reach out to you, but feel free to reach out to us at any time. And then I've also have Teresa and Kirsten's contact information to reach out to them. And once they're done their presentation, they'll probably, you'll have an idea of what you want to do in the reach out to them. Okay, so this is just a video here just to get us in the mood for college training. And if it was a little loud, I apologize, but maybe that will substitute your morning coffee. It is a little bit loud. So the College of the Rockies delivers over 100 different workforce training programs at our regional campuses and our Gold Creek campus in Cranbrook. So if you weren't aware, of course, we have our Golden campus, Invermere campus, Gold Creek, which is situated in Cranbrook. We have our Fernie campus and our Creston campus. We all do a lot of shared, like the same programming, but then there's some programming that's very unique. For example, in Golden, they are the first post-secondary institution to offer the MELT training program that goes in hand with the Class 1 driver in the entire province. So Golden really is the keeper of that particular, a lot of our driving programs. Gold Creek, because they have the facilities, they can do more of the skid steer and some of the bigger safety type of programs. So we don't do everything in every campus, but we do a lot of shared. We certainly do a lot of our professional development and business programming located at each campus. So just, I'm not going to read through every single one of these programs, and they're in your wish list anyways, but we have kind of categories. So we've got our first aid training, and we've got a variety of different first aid programs, from your basic first aid to mental health. We get into more wilderness first aid, advanced programming as well. Some of these are online, and most of them are face-to-face. And then we get into our safety training. And like I said before, this doesn't encompass all of our safety training, but I've kind of picked out the more popular ones that we do on a regular basis. So we do everything from some chainsaw operator. We do have some nonprofit organizations that really utilize this program, like the Trail Maker Society, and when they're trying to do the trails and stuff, they'll need their chainsaw operator certificate. Anything from food safe to like hoisting and rigging. WMIS is used in a lot of different industry sectors. Fall protection. Now, sometimes people think fall protection is more for if you're in the construction business, but we have actually done contracts for hotel resorts for fall protection for their staff, because they're getting ready to put up all their Christmas decorations and they're climbing up ladders and that kind of thing. So we've done contracts for fall protection in those areas. Anytime you're kind of six inches, I think they say, off the ground or higher, you may want to look at that if your staff is in those situations for fall protection. Then we get into our driving training, air brakes, forklift, like I had already mentioned, our class 1, class 3 commercial driver, traffic control, those kind of programs. We do a lot of forklift contracts because we have companies, for example, like Canadian Tire, Home Hardware, those type of programs where they have a forklift drivers, they need their certification. Then we get into professional development and business development. We have a big range of programs there, and I didn't actually list them all, although I have 2 slides worth today. We just launched our Summit Leadership Skills program last year, and that really focuses on management skills, leadership skills, or if you have staff that you want to move into more of a supervisory role and they need those skills to lead a team, this would definitely be the program. It is in 3 chunks or 3 peaks. You can just take 1 peak or you can take the full program. We also touch on in the program a little bit of COVID changes that have happened and communications, virtual communications, that kind of thing as well, and surviving a post-COVID world. Then again, I won't read all of the programs that we do, but it gives you a bit of an idea of some of the professional development programs that are fresh out of our guide for fall, and we've done others as well. So if there is one program you're like, we really need to train our staff in this area, there's probably a good chance we've done something, or we can create something for that. We've got some amazing instructors. The next page gets more into marketing, social media mastery, Facebook. Then we've got our Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint training, level 1 to 3. You can get a certificate if you take all 3. Keyboarding has become very popular in the last, really since COVID started, our keyboarding, and you can just do that on your own. It's a great program where you do it on your own time. And I mean, I can go on about it, but if you are interested, I can tell you more at a separate time. We do customized computer training. So you're like, well, I know about Word or I know Excel, but there's some specific things in Excel that I really need to know or my staff needs to know. We can get you set up on a one-on-one with one of our great computer instructors. We also do, well, I'll talk about our contract training in just a few minutes. Then we're into our bookkeeping, QuickBooks, Sage accounting courses. And we've done some virtual meeting training, workshops, presentations that you're doing virtually instead of face-to-face. Grant writing, board basics, and then passive house design is just, it doesn't really go with the other ones. I just didn't have a place for it, but the passive house design designation and certification is a new program that we're delivering, and but it's more for people that are in the construction sector, trade sector for that one. So then I'm going to talk a little bit about contract training. So we can do specific contract training for your company. So and we can customize it to fit your goals. An example would be we've done a number of computer training programs that they don't want to take the level 1, 2, 3. They want it customized for their needs in their business. So we'll do a full-on Excel program that knocks off their wish list. And we actually have a separate wish list for some of our computer training programs. So we may have, okay, you want to train a half a dozen of your staff in Excel training. So here's our wish list, and check off the things that are the most important for you to get out of your Excel training, and things that you already know or things you're not interested in. And then our instructor will take that and they will basically customize the training sessions for your company and for your staff. We can also bundle training and certificates to fast track employees in specialized areas of training. Maybe it's into the safety or transportation or business development, that kind of thing. And I had mentioned previously, best thing is just to book an appointment in person, online, or over the phone with our program administrator. They can review your training needs and schedule a time. And the nice thing is when you do the specific contract training for your company is we can do it when you need us to do it. We work with our instructor, but if you're like Wednesday mornings works for us, or like this Monday, Wednesday evening Excel program, we want that, but I don't want to send my staff on a Monday and Wednesday evening. So we will set up a time schedule that works best for you. We don't have what you're looking for. We probably have you covered. Often, like I said before, our best program creations come from our industry, from people like you on your ideas and your requests, and then we will build. If there's a training or educational opportunity, but you're not sure if we deliver it, please let us know, and we can either create it, or like I say, there may be a good chance that we have delivered it in the past. So you can book an appointment with your local College of the Rockies campus program administrator or the campus manager. I know a couple of you are from Golden, so you could reach out to the Golden campus, and we can go over a bit of an assessment and training needs and options. Another video just to finish off the tone of my presentation, and I will start it now.
By 2025, BC will have 900,000 job openings. Nearly 80% will require some form of post-secondary education. Our strength as a region depends on us stepping up to fill this void. In order for our communities to continue to be vibrant, healthy, and sustainable, we need to come together to address this challenge. We are all in this together. College of the Rockies builds partnerships and programs that drive success for our students, for business, and our communities. Our 800 employees support more than 10,000 part-time and full-time learners. The economic impact of our operations exceeds $250 million. As a college that is hardwired to industry, we ensure that the skills our students learn today are the ones our partners need tomorrow. We offer a variety of programs from university-level arts and sciences, business, career, and trades training, to adult upgrading, continuing education, and workforce development. Whether it's a basic first aid certificate, a tourism management diploma, or a degree in business or nursing, we integrate our programming with real-world, hands-on learning. This leads to better outcomes for our students, our industry partners, and everyone around us. With 7 campuses across the East Kootenay and Columbia Valley, we are part of the region's DNA. Our students don't just come for an education, they come for a way of life where people live, learn, work, and play in a welcoming and supportive environment. As a community college, our goal is to make post-secondary education accessible. We drive partnerships, productivity, and programming that is vital to our region and beyond. And we help to connect the people whose passion for this place makes it great. We are all in this together.
So that concludes my presentation, and I will turn it over to Kirsten to do her presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
And I'll just try to get off the stop share so that you can share now. There we go.
Awesome. I can throw mine up here. All right. So I just want to I actually want to start right where Michelle left off. One of the things that we're always interested in as well is partnering and hearing, because we can respond best when we have all the information to connect the people looking for work and the people offering jobs and needing staff to fill the positions that they have. So there are a couple of, all right, there we go. There are some formalized partnering opportunities through Work BC. So on the Work BC website, there is a lot of information, and I think Teresa has sent out some of the links already on some of the resources on the online. These are things that are run through Work BC, but they are not necessarily done by the local staff at the Work BC centers. But it is something that we're aware of and that we can connect with if employers, organizations, businesses are interested. So community and employer partnerships, we have had several of them. Right now, the program that Michelle was talking about, the MELT Class 1 driver, is actually one of those programs. We call it PBLMT because it's a really long acronym for a really long name. But basically what it is, it's training that is in classroom with a work component. So that lends itself really well for something like a Class 1 driver, where there's a lot of theoretical information, but then you also need to be able to get behind the wheel of a truck and actually drive. Another one that is, so this is one that is usually training organizations like a college or a larger training group that will offer these kind of programs. Job creation partnerships is another program within this umbrella. And they're more the opposite approach, where you have a project that you need workers, and then you can add a little bit of a practical, a theoretical component into the practical work. So some of the ones that have been done in the past would be here in Cranbrook. Actually, the Railway Museum had an addition to their building. So that was a specific project that they needed people to work on, and then they were able to offer some other additional, more theoretical training on top of the work that they provided for the people. Skills enhancement for us is a huge component. This can be anything from somebody coming in wanting informal skills to be ready to enter the job market. It can be short-term training. So a lot of the things that Michelle was mentioning under the safety and the first aid, those are things that we provide for people. And it's either that somebody could come in and say, you know what, I'm starting this job, but I need my first aid. We can help with that. It is everything that we do is centered on the needs of the person that walks through our door. So a lot of the programs have requirements for eligibility, but we try to help the best we can. So for us in general, to help an individual with funding some of the training that they're interested in, usually requires them to be either not working at all or being underemployed, which is what we consider 20 hours or less. There are some exceptions to that though. So if you have somebody working for you on a part-time basis, but they have requirements that the income that they receive is not covering their needs for whatever reason, and they'd be looking for another part-time job or anything, but there could be a potential of them upgrading their skills and be able to get more hours within your organization. That would be another area where we could step in and help out, although that person would be considered, you know, to be working in the technical terms of the eligibility. But there are some situations. So really what we always ask from all sides, really the job seeker as well as the person providing the jobs, is that you come and talk to us and see what the specific situation is and whether we can help or not. And then of course at the other end of the spectrum is, you know, full career changes to somebody can't work in a specific field anymore, but that requires a lot more work and applications, and whereas the short-term training is usually fairly quick and easy, and we really try to get people into work right away. There are some other programs, like I've mentioned before. Kootenay Employment Services offers other programs as well. So we have some employment readiness programs that are specific to certain target groups, whether it be youth or older workers, people at risk of homelessness. And they always have a work search component as well, and the opportunity for some of those training options. So again, usually it's more the short term, the safety and first aid certifications, but we have funded a lot of the programs that the college offers or other colleges offer as well. CBT is another option that we are really lucky to have in this area. When we talk to other Work BC programs or other programs around the province, and we say, oh yeah, we have this fund that just kind of has money for everybody. If it doesn't fit our criteria for some reason, often Columbia Basin Trust, we can use that funding as well. So there's two lines of funding. One of them is there's $1,000 that each resident of the Columbia Basin has to use for training, and it's reset every 5 years. And then the other one is a higher sum, so it's up to $7,500. It's a specialized training bursary. There are 10 identified areas of training that are high in demand occupations that are being funded through this. They are anything agriculturally related, climate change, construction, early childhood education, forestry, healthcare aid, heavy equipment operator, business or office administration, anything to do with paramedic, EMT, and then programming and coding. So those are the areas that they've identified. They usually go back every couple of years to reevaluate what the high demand occupations are. And those are the ones that are currently on. So this is a program that, again, we don't administer, that's run through a Columbia Basin Trust, but the application process does go through the Work BC centers locally. So if that is something that people are interested in, and it's nice for us to know, like I said, if if there are people that just don't fit our boxes, often we can tap into this and still be able to help. Employer training grants is another option. So this is, again, one of the programs that is run through Work BC, but not administered through us, but we certainly have the information and can make the connections. So right now there are 5 different grants that are available. One is for COVID-19 impacted sectors. One is workforce development, so very specific on what is it a business needs. Technical training, so that is if a business needs to adapt to a technical upgrade and people need the training to do so. Foundation, so that's anything essential skills that people may need working for you. And then the last one that was just announced was specifically to individuals that have the persons with disability status. And there is some training funding there as well. Wage subsidies is one thing that has really been underutilized in the past, I feel, and through the pandemic and some of the options that have been provided through the federal government, people have started to really think about wage subsidies in a different way. They're a really great way to subsidize the operations financially for a business, offsetting some of that initial onboarding training costs, the time that's invested. In turn, the individual that's participating in the wage subsidy gets the skills that they need, and hopefully, if it was a good fit, it will be a person that will be with that business for a long time. Again, CBT also offers some wage subsidy options. They've got a lot of ones centered around younger people, so for apprentices, school work, summer works, some of the ones for food producers. Those are programs that we're aware of, but they run through Columbia Basin Trust directly. The one that we usually work with is the Work BC wage subsidy program, and it was actually in November of last year really expanded to just respond to the demand, and particularly with a lens on COVID recovery. So now it includes any unemployed resident of BC. There's a streamlined application process. Everything can be handled now through an online application, reducing some of that administrative back and forth with filling out paperwork. The subsidy rates can vary, and it depends on the individual that is being hired. So a general client would be a split of 50% for the first 8 weeks, 25% for the next 8 weeks, and then 15% for the last 8 weeks. However, there are specific priority groups. Again, it's youth, it's individuals with diverse abilities, or we have, if there is a situation where we really feel that somebody needs a custom area, we can work with that as well. So there are some opportunities where those rates can be a little bit higher. There are 2 pathways. So either an employer can identify an individual that they've maybe interviewed or they've met, that they think is going to be a good fit for the organization and apply to have a wage subsidy. We bring that person in and we match it up on our end. Those are usually pretty quick turnaround time. The other option is that a business comes to us and says, you know what, we need 3 people. We don't have anyone. Can you help us find? So we don't match. We're not a temp agency or a headhunter, but we do work with individuals that are looking for work. So we will then send that out to the team and see if we can find anybody that would fit the profile and work with the business that way. A single business can have up to 5 subsidized employees at a time and a maximum of 10 per year. So that's quite a few people. We've had, I think, one organization that's maxed out at the 5 at a time, but they're not anywhere near to the 10 per year. The important part is that an employee cannot have already started employment with that business. The only exception is if it was a person that was laid off and is now being rehired. But if somebody has just been hired, it's their second day, we can't start the wage subsidy process. It is something that has to start before they start working.
Kristen, I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with regards to the maximum of 5 employees at a time, because we have properties in different regions in BC, does that apply to each property or to True Key Hotels and Resorts as a whole?
Does each property run with a different business number or with?
No, the same business number.
Then it would be unfortunately 5 per organ. It's 5 per business number.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A quick question as well. So if an employee has been hired but has not started yet, so they've got like 2 weeks before they start, could they possibly qualify for the program as well? Or is it, no, yeah, okay.
Yeah. What we would do then is we would just not mention that one of the requirements for a wage subsidy is would not have hired them without the subsidy, which in that case you would have. However, they haven't started. Maybe you weren't aware of the subsidy options. And it, especially right now, it's really seen under the lens of we want to help businesses get their feet back under them and help them where we can. Before it was a lot more stickler for those little details. Right now, I feel there's a lot of flexibility. So absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
As
and
long
so
as they
just
haven't had a start date yet.
fair enough. And just be clear, like the purpose of wage subsidy programs like this is to basically tie almost like a form of granting to employment, correct?
That's right. So basically, the idea is you get reimbursed for some of the time you spend onboarding this new person because they're
Sure.
getting, everybody needs training. And that's the other thing that's really part of this. Before we had to show why the person couldn't have done the job without the subsidy. And now it's really about everybody needs some sort of onboarding, some sort of training.
Mhm.
Businesses need support. So it's matching that the time you're spending on training this new person, at least you're going to get a little bit of a financial relief.
Fair enough. Cool.
But I put the link in the chat for the wage subsidy guide so you can apply right away.
Nice. Thanks.
Thank you.
The question, the individual that's for the applying for the job, they cannot be employed elsewhere or underemployed?
It depends. So if they are the employer identified, if you find them and you want to give them a second job, then unfortunately, no, they have to be unemployed at that point. If they were already working with us and had come into services before saying that, you know, I'm working a 10-hour job, but I really need something else, then we could match them with another job.
Okay, sorry, one last piece of clarification. If the person was working a full-time job somewhere else, but it doesn't pay them adequately, and so they've decided to be hired by another company instead and just change jobs, would that qualify or no, because they're not coming from being unemployed?
They would have to be unemployed. If it's the employer identified, they would have to be unemployed. We've had that situation where we told people, you know what, when's your layoff date or when is your last work date, as long as there is a few days in between. And that's when we would start the application process, because then at that point, let's say they work until Friday, the next Monday we can start the application process, and maybe on the Thursday or Friday they start their new job. So as long as there is a period of unemployment in there.
Okay, fair enough.
I think the only other thing, there are some employer eligibility requirements, you know, things like they have to be at arm's length from Work BC or Kootenay Employment Services. There needs to be some liability insurance. No other people are being laid off to make room for the person with the subsidy and things like that. And registered in BC, and that's where it comes back to your question, Karina. Unfortunately, every wage subsidy is tied to the business number. So that's where that comes from. And the other thing is it cannot be combined with another subsidy. So for that position, so a business could have 3 wage subsidies through the federal grants and then do one with us as long as they're not the same position. But it's basically no double dipping into several pots for one position. One other thing I wanted to talk about our job start. So this is a really quick way for us to help people get into employment and start the job right away. So this situation is where somebody starts a job, they have everything, but maybe they need a pair of work boots, or they need that first aid course, or they need to get to the job because they're living in a community that's a little bit outside of where their job is going to be. So this is really quick funding for us to be able to provide those things so they can start as soon as possible. Usually it's especially for things like commuting or dependent care if they need to hire a babysitter to be able to go to work. Those things are usually for the time until the person gets their first paycheck, or for 4 weeks is the maximum amount. But the other things are really just starting at what do you need to get to work. What people will need is a letter from the employer confirming that they have been offered the job, what the start date is, what they're going to be paid, how many hours they're going to have, and what are the things that they're going to need to start the job. And then we can really quickly process that and get them working. And this is nice to even for anyone that you're hiring, just to mention, if you know that they're going to need certain equipment, just to say if you know there's something you need, you might want to check in with the Work BC Center. They might be able to help. So we have
Kirsten,
yeah.
I just had a question on that. Did you mention that could be training as well, or is it just for sort of the necessities?
No,
So
that could be training as well. So usually in that case, it really is those short-term courses that say it's a job in hospitality and they need food safe and serving it right, or they need a women's course or first aid or something like that, like something that we can do quick that is tied to the job that is a requirement for them to start working. Yeah.
And is it any area? I'm just thinking, like, if we did a quick like computer to get them fresh up, would that qualify as well, not just the safety and first aid?
It could. It's very rarely is, but it could be something that maybe the person has bookkeeping experience, but they've never worked with Sage accounting and they just do a course and they need that for that job. Yeah, it could be something like that as well.
Great, thank you.
It's basically whatever the employer tells us that they need, and then we can do it. So we do have 4 offices for Kootenay Employment Services. So we are in Cranbrook, Creston, Fernie, and Invermere. Work BC is throughout the province. There is an office in Golden. And then we also work very closely with Kootenay Career Development Society there in Nelson, and they cover the Work BC and other employment services more into the west. So it's a very good network. We often reach out to other offices if we have people that we're working together with. So in True Key, for example, if we had somebody that the person lives here but they want to start a job in one of your locations that's outside of the area, so then we can work with the Work BC Center there to set up a wage subsidy and work together really closely. So yeah, so if you have any questions, and thanks so much, Teresa, for putting that link in. Yeah, we do have a wage subsidy coordinator that covers all of our areas. So that is also nice because then we have the one person contact and the local teams that if somebody needs to just run out and get a signature or something like that. Well, thank you very much.
And Teresa's next. I think you're muted, Teresa.
There we are. Once I presented, I couldn't unmute. All right, so I'm
I
Teresa.
thought maybe you were trying to make me feel better.
Yeah, it was that. It was that for sure. I'm Teresa. I'm the business recovery advisor for the Columbia Valley. Mel, who was on, is my counterpart in Golden. And then we also have Riley in Cranbrook, Kimberly. We work together as a micro region. And then I think Core has a contract, do they not, for the recovery with Alex?
Yes, Core has Alex Ibbotson as well.
Yeah, she's awesome. So we're all over the place. If anyone wants to reach out, there's 25 advisors across BC, or sorry, across the Kootenays. And we are funded, my position is funded by Etsy BC. They provided funding to 25 different support organizations. So it's chambers, governments, nonprofit organizations to start these rural recovery programs. So it's a total of $1.65 million has been invested. And basically, our job is to help businesses with what they need. And it's pretty broad. Some are still in recovery from being all the shutdowns and et cetera that happened. Some are thriving. COVID gave some amazing opportunities to some people. Right now I'm trying to help a lot of employment and lack of employees. I'm sure Karina is familiar with that. It's a tricky one. So if you have something going on, you can reach out. You can say, hey, we have this project going on, and then I will help look for training or funding. It could be grants, it could be loans that are available kind of outside of banks or whatnot. But I try and find the resources that suit your business needs at the time. And there's a lot of them, and they're nonstop changing. It's neat. So those are some of the people that we work with. The College, Women Enterprise Center, GoTo, BDC, Small Business, BC, Columbia Basin Trust, the governments. We're kind of always scouring all the websites and whatnot when everything comes up. To get in touch with me, you can email me advisor@cvchamber.ca. There's my phone number. It's my cell phone, so you can text me as well if you like. I send out a weekly email. So much information comes. So I send out a Monday morning bites. And it's just a resource, a funding opportunity, a learning opportunity, kind of to deliver them in manageable sizes so you don't get an email with 10,000 opportunities and you don't know where to start. So you can sign up for that. I'll put the link in the chat in a second. And then you can reach out on LinkedIn as well. That's it. There's all of our contacts if you like them. Any questions on what I do or? So what's next? If you want to take a training program, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to any of us. And say you talk to Kirsten like, oh, there's nothing really at Work BC. Then I'll try and find alternate. Or if you reach out to me, I might be like, hey, this fits in with Work BC and put you in touch with Kirsten. And then we'll figure out how the college can deliver it. And then we just work as a giant team. So reach out to anyone.
I have a question for Michelle. So we're working with, we had a call last night with all of our gear makers in the Trail Rossland area. And a couple of them came up and said, hey, it'd be great to be able to have access to training to learn Fusion 360, which is a CAD design program. And they don't want to go through the full curriculum through the actual instructional program for the degrees, for the diplomas. So we're working, I've got meetings with Jack Mose and Paul Tige, and we have some of our industry partners or businesses who would like to have access to some of that technology fabrication equipment in Cranbrook. And there's a learning component that's required for that. And again, our businesses don't want to take the full curriculum program. That type of training, would that be through continuing education or through the trade center?
Depending on the specifics, it could be one or the other. What we're also working with some of our full-time programs is doing some micro credentials as well. So you're not taking the full academic program or the trades program, but out to Jack Mose and Paul Teague. They would be that would probably be my first recommendation. But we can certainly I can reach out to Jack as well on that. Sometimes we do some things in conjunction with each other with the academic thing, or we will share some whether it be, I don't want to say equipment, but we share we do share some things together to make it work, and we can do shorter programs, like I say, like a micro credential. So it's not a 2-year or full year working at it. It's chunked down in a smaller piece. So that would definitely require a little bit more discussion, because there's probably a lot of different things involved there. And if you've already started the conversation with Jack and Paul, that's great. I do want to definitely follow up, whether I follow up with you or whether I get brought into the conversation with discussions with Jack and Paul, so that we can hopefully meet the needs that you're looking for. Yeah.
We have a meeting on Friday morning, so I'll bring up the micro credential. I know they've mentioned that before, but I'm just trying to understand all the different avenues.
Yeah, there's so many new terms and what do they mean, and how do they fit, and what's allowed and what's not allowed. That's great. So that's good. You're meeting Friday morning. I might reach out to Jack just before that, and if there's any way that I can help from my standpoint, I'd be more than happy to. Are there any other questions or?
We're 2 minutes under time.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, we could send out an evaluation on what you thought of today's workshop, or we could just simply have you put something in the chat, if you like, if you found that this worthwhile. If there's still some questions or some unanswered questions that you have, and you think it might fit with Kirsten or with Teresa or with me better, please reach out to us, because we really want to help you get the training needs and the support financially that can happen. So I hope this was worthwhile. Again, I'll ask if there's any other questions that anyone has. Yes, Karina?
Would it be able to just have an email with all of your contact information? I have to run to another meeting right away, but I just, somehow my inbox just is out of control. So I would just like to capture all of your information and in an email, so that way I know that if I have any other questions, I can just reach out to you guys.
Absolutely. And what we'll do is we'll reply to everyone today with a link to the recording, so you can view that again, and everyone's contact information. And the email that you would have originally received for this link would have all of our contact information there. We kind of tried to put it in every single document we could.
Okay, awesome.
So, but we'll be doing a follow-up email out to everyone with the link to this session and our contact information for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.